Jonathan, hey, congratulations for your docu-series Legacy, The Shadow of Greatness.
Thank you, Gig. Appreciate it.
I know it's already fascinating, and word of mouth already got out because it's already being showcased on Discovery Plus. How do you feel about this so far?
I'm thrilled. We've been working on this since the fall of 2019, and we had these great stories taking shape with these three extraordinary young athletes, Evan Holyfield, Vashti Cunningham, and Dwyane Wade, and their three extraordinary dads, Evander Holyfield, four-time world champ, Randall Cunningham, two-time NFL MVP, and NBA all-time great Dwyane Wade. So we have these amazing stories unfolding, and then the pandemic hits. And not only turned our production schedule upside down, but turned our stories upside down while the whole world turned upside down. And so we are just so thrilled that we were able to stick with it, and follow these people through their unforeseen and unforeseeable changes, and coming to a place where their stories all came together. You can't, as a screenwriter, you can't write a script like this, which is why, as a documentarian, relying on the world to create your script, we got really lucky with the drama that was available to us with this story. Terrible thing for the world. It's a difficult year for all of us, of course, some of us worse than others, but boy, for drama, it made for some really great TV.
It certainly does. Well, tell us what sparked this docuseries in the first place. What originated it?
So a gentleman named Mike Bassone, who is the executive producer of the series, he and I had worked together on a docuseries about a high school basketball team in New Jersey called St. Benedict's. And we had a great experience working together, did a great series together. And when we finished that, he said, I've got this idea. Let me know what you think of it. It's called Legacy. And it's about the children of great athletes coming up in the shadow of greatness. And I said, well, that's a great story, but it must have been done before, because it just makes so much sense, and it's so simple and so great. I'm sure it's been done, but it hadn't ever been done. Nobody had ever been able to corral a group of extraordinary young athletes and their extraordinary parents. So I said, well, this story is amazing. Let's do it. And the first person he went after was Dwyane Wade, who came on board as an executive producer. And once we had Dwyane and his son Dwyane, who was a rising senior in high school when we started, basketball player, we had a lot of momentum. And then Vashti and Randall and Evan Holyfield and Evander were our next choices, and they both signed on as well. So it was like it came together so quickly and easily. When something's right, I guess it just happens, right?
So it didn't really take much convincing to get these three families involved.
Honestly, I wasn't in the room, but it sounds like everybody had the same reaction I did. Like, wow, this hasn't happened before. This is a great story. Let's do it. And they're all really accomplished parents, right? I mean, four-time world heavyweight champion, Evander Holyfield, NBA 75th anniversary all-time team member, NBA champion, 13-time All-Star, whatever he is, Dwyane Wade, Randall Cunningham, two-time NFL MVP. These people are very confident in what they do. and they their kids inherited that confidence, and they all had a swagger to them. Now, their stories didn't all go without obstacles, without ups and downs. Certainly, they all had their ups and downs, and that's what the series is about. But they walked in with swagger from day one, and it was really cool to be with them. So charismatic, so talented, so bright, all three of them, and it was great to witness it so close, and great to have the privilege to put the stories together and package it for the world to see.
Now, were you aware if there were more families being under consideration, or they immediately, handed these three on a silver platter for you?
Yeah, they were our first three choices. We discussed some others. Boy, it's hard even to remember, because these were really our first choices. And when they came in, I sort of stopped worrying about who else we were considering. There was tennis star Bjorn Borg and his son, who was coming up in Europe and playing at Rafa Nadal's academy. That was an interesting story we were looking into. Mary Lou Retton, the Olympic champion gymnast, and her daughter, I believe, who was a gymnast, was another possibility. Whether they were even approached, I don't know, because our top three choices came in.
Now, there are personalities, not only the three veterans, but the three young children. They have very strong personalities, and it almost seems like, they write their own stories. So,
well, they do write their own stories in a way, but not all the way. So Zaire Wade comes in with his 2 million Instagram followers and a swagger that fills a room. But he's in an extremely competitive business. High school senior, trying to get a top tier Division I basketball scholarship. In this world, I mean, that's for a whole lot of young men and women the golden ticket. Now, here's a kid, super skilled, super talented, super confident, but does he have the hunger? Does he have the hunger that these kids who are truly hungry have? And the struggle that he underwent while we were filming, and the way his father, who grew up a lot hungrier than the son grew up, how they dealt with that together, and how Dwyane nurtured the hunger that he knows his son will need, was some really cool parenting things to watch as a parent myself. However, watching Zaire Wade, who was born into privilege and who, his table is set, right? With a nice 3-course meal on it every day. So how is he going to deal with adversity? And watching him learn to reach to a deeper place that athletes need to find to compete and grow was really awesome to watch, because it turned out that despite all his swagger, Zaire was probably the most sensitive of all the kids in the series. And he really takes it to heart when he's criticized. He's the flip side of having 2 million Instagram followers is you're a magnet for criticism and hate. And, you know, to expect a kid who's 17 years old when we started filming, to perform at the level of his father, who was one of the greatest to ever play the game. So unfair, but so real. So the kids are writing their stories, but the world is writing back and making things very hard. And Evan had some unforeseeable obstacles. Vashti had some unforeseeable obstacles. And you know, that's the beauty of documentaries, is that as much as you think you know what's going to happen, you don't know what's going to happen. And those surprises are what makes for great TV in my mind.
Yeah, I was also because usually when you think of documentaries or something like this, you know, following the footsteps of their fathers, Vashti and Randall Cunningham was surely different, because Vashti would have a difficult process of trying to get to the NFL, but she took a different route, which is great.
Yeah, Vashti said it when she was a girl, it was her dream to play in the NFL, and she didn't realize that wasn't too likely to happen until she was a little older. And then her father, Randall, before he was an NFL All-Pro, was a great high school high jumper, champion high jumper in high school. And Vashti's brother, Randall II, was also a champion high jumper. And so she tried her hand at that, and turned out she was extraordinarily talented, maybe the most talented of the three. And her dad became her coach. And her dad also happens to be her pastor. He's the pastor. He's the former NFL player, is now a pastor at a big church in Las Vegas. And that's very important in Vashti's life. So you've got a situation where this person is your dad, he's your pastor, and he's your coach. So for us, we were sort of, from the very first day, we were sort of saying, let's just watch out for the fireworks, because they're bound to happen. And they do, because Vashti is a very strong-willed, talented, independent young woman. And Randall's vision of his daughter didn't necessarily line up with that degree of independence and strength. But so their relationship is multifaceted and very interesting. When they go on the field of competition, they are so united. They're so together, like you've never seen a coach and an athlete this tight. But when they're away from the field of competition, they've got a couple of different viewpoints about how things ought to go. So it's really, really fun and interesting to follow them through the ups and downs of a couple of strong personalities as a father and a daughter.
Yeah, I do have to admit that this docu-series is fascinating, because it's not just the children itself, but it's also the fathers involved and their parenting styles and how to cheer for their own children.
Yeah, and I agree with you completely. And you know, as a parent myself of children a similar age to Zaire and Vashti and Evan, the parenting was really fascinating for me, because there's this struggle that you go through as a parent, trying to keep your kids happy, trying to keep your kids comfortable, trying to provide them opportunities to fulfill their dreams. But at the same time, what it takes to fulfill these particular dreams is a hunger that doesn't come from privilege. It's a hunger that comes from being without. And you have to be you know, you might not know what it means to be hungry in that sense that a lot of the other up and coming athletes know what it really means to be hungry. I mean, hungry in your belly. But you've got to somehow match that desire to achieve and compete against everyone that comes into your path. And to watch these three dads try to nurture that hunger in the kids while never quite being able to give up they're the ones who made it big. They're the ones who have everything to provide. Like, I could make your life so easy on you. And part of me as a dad wants to make your lives so easy because I worked so hard. I just want you to have it easy. But you have this dream, and this dream does not come easy. So I'm going to make you earn it. I'm going to have to toughen myself as a parent to help you make yourself earn this dream. And you watch the dad struggle with that, and it gets pretty intense. It gets pretty intense.
I can't imagine. As a baseball fan, we see a lot of these father sons, making the major league baseball just due to their genetics. So this is fascinating.
Yeah, and like I said, the genetics is a big part of it, but talent is cheap, and hunger is what pays the bills. So getting these kids who grew up rich to feel that hunger. But you watch them, if you watch the series, you see that rise up inside all three of them, and it's pretty cool.
Now, is there I know this is a docuseries just with these three, but is there any possibility you're going to do more down the road?
Oh, I think there's a real possibility. I think, there are more stories out there, and I think I think it's just it's such a unique situation because our athlete superstars, the Dwyane Wades and the Evander Holyfields and the Randall Cunningham, they hold such a power over us as not just fans, but people in this country, right? That our sports heroes embody all these qualities that we admire and we cherish. And so we're already fascinated in them. And then when you see them in this different context, when they're not the great ones themselves, but they're trying to impart that to their own children, and the conflicts and the contradictions and the struggles that come up in that, it's super fertile ground for drama. And yeah, I think I think we can find three more year after year after year to keep this series going. I would love it, that's for sure.
I believe so, and I love watching the series so far because it normalizes these people that we put on a pedestal, that they actually have,
Yeah. Well, thanks for noticing that. I mean, that's a really big part of what we try to do, because the series, it's, I guess, under the category sports documentary, but it's really human documentary. It's really about the people. It's a parent-child story. It's a father-daughter story, father-son story, like any other. It just happens to be that the arena in which these families operate are sports, but it's not so much about the sport as it is about the relationship. And, Dwyane Wade's a dad, and he's not always sure what the right thing to do for his son is. Just like I'm not always sure what the right thing to do for my son is, or all of us, we're wanting so bad to just make everything just right for our kids, but our kids are going to have to make it right for themselves at some point. And to watch these superstar dads grapple with that, it's I don't know, makes them very relatable in a new kind of way.
Well, Jonathan, I really do appreciate this conversation. Can't wait to complete watching this series, and 10, 20 years down the road, these children's going to be great. Hopefully, achieve their own greatness themselves, and we'll look back and say, you know what, we could rewatch Legacy.
Let's hope so. Maybe by season 25, we'll be filming them as parents with their kids.
That's right.
So, all right. Thanks so much, Gig. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye now.
Take care.